Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the latest episode of Solo Queue. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. I am joined this week by the Prince of PvP, Brian Ricardo. How's it going? I had to do it when you're wearing the crown. Like, what? Come
Yeah,
on.
even with me wearing it, I'm like still get like blushing over the Prince of PvP. But yeah, I'm super happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No, before we dive into this episode, I just realized my camera looks like crap because it's like not turned right. There we go. Let's get a little bit of your background and also
Sure.
people who are maybe not be as familiar with PvP, like just like that crown. Like I actually don't even know the story behind that crown either. So yeah, a little background about yourself and
Okay.
can I get the story about the crown?
Sure. Okay. So, for those who don't know, my name is Brian Ricardo. I've been part of the PvP community for like honestly like 7 years. I started doing like streaming with it, just streaming a ton of like ranked Feast. The Feast was the ranked mode before Crystal Conflict. And then I started making like PvP community discords. Revival is the one that I founded, which is like the big one in the community right now. Um, I started doing commentary. I started just doing a lot of stuff for PvP, just being a bit advocate, YouTube videos, coaching. I myself was like a competitive player. I played for FanFest 2018 on stage. And then people just started calling me calling me like royalty, like the prince, because I just had like a big legacy in doing everything, and I just like kept that. And I like it, so I keep it. Yeah.
I will say that I think you were one of the first people I saw streaming PvP. And even like back then, like besides like the feast, you were streaming like frontline, and I thought
Yeah.
it was like really cool. So like okay, obviously there's a thing called like stream sniping. Everyone knows about that, but like
Yes.
there's different intents behind it. Like I want to play it because I want to grief you, or I want to be in there because like I know this person. It's like cool to be in there.
Yeah.
So like I was like, oh, Brian's in a like this guy I'm watching. Brian's in a match. I'm gonna try and get in a match with him and see. But the thing is, Brian, two things historically. Early on, I would like never get on your side in frontline or in feast anytime I would queue up. And I think every time in feast, I was like, I'd lose. I was like,
Oh my god. I think I remember that
yeah.
era because that was the time you were like trying to learn, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh man, no, I'm gonna lose again."
I remember you were asking for tips and stuff back then. And as for frontlines, I do remember that's how I basically learned about you. I was like, who's this Avatar Korra? Why do you have so many kills? And yeah, that's how I got to know you basically.
Yeah, and actually, that's something maybe our viewers. I mean, I've done the reviews for all the expansions. A Realm Reborn through the current expansion, except for Heaven's Ward. I didn't do the review for that. And so, for our community who sees our footage, they probably see my character name. And like, yes, in game, it's like characters named after Avatar Korra from the Legend of Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender universe because the series are fantastic. And I really like the character. Yeah.
I love it.
Interested to see what the live action TLA adaptation next month's going to be like. But that's why. But most of the people in our community know me just like either call me Damiani or by my other hand, like nickname Damianicus, which is like an old story from like my long time ago from work, an inside joke that inside a group of friends at work like made that nickname up for me. So like it kind of just like stuck, and it's kind of like a tribute to them since we've all kind of gone our separate ways. Like I kind of like keep using that to keep on like our group spirit. But that doesn't. You need two names in Final Fantasy 14 for your character, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make Dominguez in any like. It's gonna just be too weird to me because it needs to be one word, and they don't allow you to do one word names in 14. So
right. Yeah, I always call you the Avatar or Korra. That's what I'm used to calling you.
Yeah, you usually say Korra. Like a few other students, like I think Masaru and Holga do Damiani. I think.
Oh, they do.
So like the funny thing about Holga is I think because of my last name, because of the phonetics, they say it more correct. Like they say it how it's supposed to be said, where some people see it. A lot of people thought I was like Damien at first, and I like never let anyone know. It was totally my fault. I never let anyone know. I'm like, I feel bad correcting people. So like they can say what they want to say. Like it's okay. But I don't know, real quick before we get into the notes, one last anecdote I want to tell you about. interesting thing from Holga. Do you know the concept that most of NA and probably EU players feel that the dev team they think that the dev team listens to JP first and foremost over all other regions?
Yeah.
Holga was telling me that most JP players believe the opposite. They
Oh
believe the
my
dev team
God.
listens to NA and EU more than JP. And they get
I
annoyed.
Okay, I have a theory on this. My theory is that because on the forums, Square Enix loves to always tell people post on the forums. That's where we're gonna look at things. For NAEU, we don't really post that much. Period. And then JP players will post, but they post so much that SE's gonna see this and like not agree to everything. So I feel like that's why they think they're ignoring. That's why we think we're ignored.
That's maybe, yeah, getting too much information from one side and then not
Yeah.
getting any. Yeah, I think in the last episode I had Tiffany Lockhart on, and we were talking
Cool.
about the JP Fan Fest, and we got into
Oh,
the thing about dev community feedback with devs and how some people sometimes are a little presumptuous about how the devs operate, and making maybe bad assumptions about like how game development works. And that, yes, when they're trying to parse through feedback, like people who think the devs just ignore everybody, it's like they don't. They absolutely don't. It's just they cannot parse through every single
yeah.
piece of feedback, and it's a bandwidth issue with people. And like, yeah, anyway, we don't need to get into that because we're here to talk about PvP. That was last week, and we have some out of like. So, is it fair
Yeah.
to say, Brian, that with the end of the CC season, it was probably we most likely expected to just get some job balance updates, and probably that's it for this patch 6.55? Or were you expecting a little bit more like what we got? Because we got more than just job balance changes for this patch.
Oh, yeah, I was expecting just like job adjustments a little bit because there's still actually one more season before Dawntrail. Yeah, for Crystal Conflict. This is season 10. There's going to be a season 11 that starts in 6.58 to, Dawntrail 7.0. But yeah, I was not expecting anything, period, for any mode. Just like a little job changes.
I was getting my usual copium prep for, all right,
Yep,
let's
yep,
like,
exactly.
here are the things I want to happen and they won't happen. And like, I think my mentality has just been, because they reiterated it in the JP Fan Fest, that 7.1 is where
Yes.
we'll get the next wave of kind of significant PvP changes.
Right, yeah.
So to me, that telegraphed, okay, we're getting job balances until then. Obviously, when Dawntrail drops, we're getting 2 new jobs in PvP, which will
Right,
be fun to
yeah.
play with.
Oh my
But
God.
otherwise, don't expect anything but job balance. So this was a little surprising, I would say.
Yes.
And to be specific, the extra changes came to Frontline specifically. These don't
Right.
impact CC. This does not impact even Rival Wings as well. It's just changes that impact Frontline. But before we get into those, we had the job balance changes.
Yeah.
And considering your impressive resume of but your background in crystalline conflict, I wanted to kind of like get your thoughts about the
Yeah.
little time you've been able to spend in there, how you
Mhm.
feel about some of the job changes, and also the explanation we got. I don't know if you had a chance to read any of
Oh
that,
yeah.
if
I
you
did,
agree or
yeah.
disagree with any of that as well.
Yeah, so it looks like a lot of their changes are for solo queue this time around. Like looking at the ranking, how much players are playing the certain jobs and balancing around that. In the previous patches, they were like specifically talking about light party, like tournament play, because they had for every fan fest they had their own tournament. For NA, they had that's the one I did commentary for on stage. They had the EU one and the JP one. JP one just passed like, well, that was like a couple weeks ago, basically, right?
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Geez.
So now they're looking to balance towards solo queue again, which is kind of cool that they're like thinking about these type of stuff like light party, solo queue. And I think the biggest change is Purify. Purify like just gives you immunity regardless of you cleansing a debuff. Before, like you had to cleanse a debuff, then you're immune for 5 seconds. Now it's just like regardless if you cleanse or not, you're immune. And a lot of people love it. And I only played with it a little bit, but I definitely see like there's some strategies you can use around that too, like get immunity, then use a limit break, and then back out. So like super cool change for sure.
I will say that the change to Purify, that it just gives you resilience, which for people who aren't familiar, it's crowd control immunity, as like Brian was indicating. There are some things that it does not give you protection from, which I think is more of a problem in Frontline than it probably is in CC because of all the shenanigans that go on. But this kind of, to give some context, and I hope maybe you agree with me, Brian, this gives us a little slice of how it kind of used to be before Endwalker's big PvP changes, and that people are calling this like a discount Feder Ward now because it's like half the length of what Feder Ward used to be.
Yeah, definitely seen people say that. I think so. I haven't played enough quite yet because the patch just happened, but I definitely see strategies being used with it, like you would use Feather Ward. So like using it, limit break, and then coming out. But in general, like I heard some people complain like Purify doesn't go off in time, and this just makes it like more of an even playing field if Purify doesn't go off like in time for you.
Yeah, there's still the thing of like, yeah, it will go off in time. That's obviously like a concern. I will say, speaking real quick from Frontline, this has been very good.
Nice.
Specifically, like, I kind of like, we won't get into it now, but it kind of makes me understand maybe why they nerfed Sam as much as they did in terms of damage in Frontline, because now it's going back to old Sam, where you have your immunity and can go into big groups without worried about being like, so your AoE combo, because Soden AoE, like your first two hits with the Soden combo, it's like you can get all that off under your CC immunity now. And it's like, oh, you just have like,
God.
I was like, oh, okay, you can lead the charge now again. You don't have to wait for the dark to jump in. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. I have to play this. I haven't played Frontlines yet, and I believe today is a Shatter day.
Yes,
so
which is a good day to play because that also
definitely
got a lot of changes. But for example, like Dark Knight now has less of a has a little bit more leeway for their jumping in for Salted Earth, which is a standard setup for people who aren't familiar. Dark Knights usually jump into a big crowd, use an ability called Salted Earth to suck everyone towards them, and then the rest of the team unleashes a bunch of AoE abilities on that group of unsuspecting players usually. So
Powerful.
the counter was another team member would try and like stun them, crowd control them, monk LB, whatever it was to stop them from continuously moving towards the group. Now they pre-pop that, and there's like less options to shut them down. But also like this, like now like Bard Silence used to be like one of the easiest things to do against a Dark Knight in Frontline, and now it's like you have to pay it. It makes you go back to having to really focus on everyone's buffs and debuffs, because if you see that resilience buff up, it's like looking for old Feder Ward. You have to pay attention again, because I think the old way Purified worked in Frontline, a lot of stuff was like a little too free, like a little too casual for people. People like could just hit buttons and get away with it. I'm like, man, this is when I talk about like the depth was kind of lacking in Frontline. It's this stuff. It's like, now you do have to pay attention to shit, and like now we're gonna see how people can really deal with this stuff. And like, I was like,
I didn't think about it this way, but you're super
like,
right.
I was kind of like, like rubbing my hands, like, all right, let's see who really knows how to play a little bit.
How many people are just gonna burn their
just waste it now. Now they're gonna do a thing like, oh, you like can't hit, like they'll gray out your action buttons if you target. like because you know how they did guard or monk LB, they grayed out purify when you were getting monk LB, so you can't like purify it. I wonder if they'll like do anything like that in the future to like. Anyway, I diverge. Back to Crystalline Conflict. So yeah, how are you feeling about some of the, like the job changes that you got to mess around with, and even your like main jobs that maybe didn't get a bit of a change? Like, do you think they're still holding up?
Yeah. So I play a lot of healers in Crystal Conflict, and so far I've only played Astro. The Purify change doesn't really affect Astro from what I've seen, because like Astro Limit Break has such a long animation. I don't see the point of like giving yourself immunity, going in LB, and then jumping out quite yet. Maybe for light party play, but like for solo queue so far, I have not seen that use. But I think other LBs would have like a good advantage, like Gunbreaker, for example. Because Gunbreaker, once you go in, if they stun you, bind you, you can't like get it full advantage of your LB. So I think that job would get a lot of advantage from Purify. But as for the other changes, I'm looking at it right now. They did a little buff to Paladin's defenses again. I mean, sure. Paladin, they feel like they don't know what to do with Paladin. They keep like touching the numbers a lot, like going up and down with the defense and the damage. They want it to be the defensive tank for sure, but like it's just like hard. They always say it has a low win rate, and it's just because like why be defensive when you can just kill type of thing. And it's Crystal Conflict.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Paladin has always seemed like probably like one of the most defensive of the tanks.
Yeah.
Speaking from like frontline experience, Paladin definitely feels the tankiest in there. Dark is probably second just because, their LB allows them to survive longer so they can play in the crowd a little bit more. And then like Warriors, like, pretty strong. But like to me, Gunbreaker's always been the one that's like, if you don't have people backing you up in front line, you're kind of in trouble no matter like what setup you're using.
Yeah.
And they even got like a nerf too. But like Paladin, I just feel like I could stay in there so long and just rotate through guard, Sheltron, any of like, and you have LB, it's like you can either try and use those in conjunction or you could just like play stall or whatever you want to do with a group, you could just keep in there. And I didn't know how well that was going to really work in like, CC, like if that translated to, they can play on point way longer and like push their like, but that's always kind of sort of been their thing anyway. So I didn't know if like that really drastically changed anything. Yeah.
Nah. So yeah, Paladin does a good job in Crystal Conflict. The issue is like a lot of jobs can just counter it, is I would say is a problem. So like, their main duty is to like put their guardian up or defense up and then guardian someone cover them. But you can use like a Reaper LB, separate them, Dancer LB, separate them, break the guard with Warrior LB. So very counterable job, especially when it comes to like a light party situation. That's why you don't see it run in tournaments. Um, I don't know what they can really do other than give them additional immunity or something like that, but that might be too much.
Yeah. I think it was the last patch. They already buffed their AoE damage from their LB. Was it, or was it Atonement, or was it one of their LB hits? I thought.
There's been so much. They buffed everything at some point, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I think it's in a not so bad. Like if they made it if they give it too much offensive power, obviously they're trying to balance around like CC. It would start to be
for CC.
It would start to become a little too powerful in frontline and probably rival wings. Like that's like I think Paladin is in a nice spot in frontline. And I do.
It's
it's
like a buddy job. Like you bring it, your friend bring it, and like you could do.
Yeah, I always wondered, like in CC, there's solo queue play style, and then there's light party play style.
Right.
In frontline, you can solo queue and you can light party with 4 people. And so, but beyond that, like there's when a team plays together, like the team synergy strategy versus like, okay, the team's not really following anything; they're just kind of like doing their own thing. There's like 2 ways to like I feel like play in frontline, and Paladin's pretty like versatile with that. So I kind of like that, but like in a team setting, if you're doing like you're calling all those those sync bursts on everybody, if Paladin had any more offensive power, it would be like it'd be nasty to play. But that's always a thing I notice about frontline is people who can sometimes complain because they like just like in PvE probably they see like meta and think, oh, there's only like one way to play a job. There's the best way to play a job. And they don't really know what their job can do. I see that a lot in frontline where people complain that this job should only be doing this. And like, you don't really know what that job can do then, do you? Like you're just like thinking you're just going to win by like doing this over and over again. And like, I imagine that probably happens like in solo queue a bit where people like, oh, this job has the highest win rate or something. I'm going to queue up as this and get free to gold or higher or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to like learn the job and like everything works. Like PvP is actually pretty decently balanced in this game when it comes to Crystal Conflict. Probably I have a little different opinion.
Yeah, well, we can get into that in a bit for sure. I'm definitely curious to hear. You were saying you played healer, so the one healer that did get a job change was White Mage. The Miracle of Nature got a CD increase, and I mean,
oh my god,
15 seconds. I mean,
15 seconds.
That's pretty decent. I imagine this is more important in CC for increasing it. So how do you feel about that change?
Yeah, so White Mage has been dominant in Light Party. We all see it. It wins like every tournament, community run and Square Enix run. So it was time for it to get nerfed. 15 seconds is so much. It's like borderline limit break level now. Like White Mage LB and Miracle of Nature timing is almost like at the same time. Um, I think it's probably still a good job. You just gotta play smarter with it. You don't want to throw Miracle Nature into guards and like people who
Yep.
won't like get neutered by it pretty much. But I couldn't say because it's just too early to tell like how people are doing with it.
Sure. Yeah. I wonder if it just like the timing increased. I mean, it's not, as you said, you're not using it as part of a timed burst like every 15, 30 seconds. You're saving it to secure a kill on
Usually, yeah.
somebody. Yeah. Or I mean, I assume that's like the most efficient way to use it.
Yeah.
Maybe some other teams have a different way to use it, like in an opener or something where they want to do something a little like, okay. So where I'm coming
Mhm.
from is it is a shutdown mechanic to like shut down like a single job coming at you. So it can be used
Yeah.
defensively, but like in frontline, the most popular use of it for people who know how to play the job is to use it on like an incoming dark to begin like a sequence of like chain CC, not to kill, but to stop them from getting to do you're desyncing their group burst
Yeah.
basically. So I don't know if it's used like that ever in
Oh
Light
yeah,
Party.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely times where like you're a white mage and you're trying to run away, and then like you just like throw it on someone so you could live.
Okay.
That definitely does exist too, but definitely the more you take more advantage of getting a kill usually.
Yeah. I will say this change does Jack S shit. We can swear in here. I just like froze up for a second. In frontline, because the timing of it is not the problem. It's never been the problem in frontline. I get to use this as my little like soapbox real quick. Miracle of Nature in frontline, I don't think it functions how it was ever intended in Light
I think
Party
so.
in tournament settings. In solo QCC, you cannot. You're never supposed to have two white mages unless you're doing goof off shit and like customs. So
True.
you're never supposed to get chained by Miracle of Nature. So in frontline,
True.
being chained by Miracle of Nature is the most broken thing because it can straight up shut down all like every limit break because you can like except for instant limit breaks. It's like anyone like Reaper. Oh, they increased their limit break now to like 20 seconds. Cool. Two white mages are on you and chain you. You're done. You lost your whole LB. Like it's stuff like that, and like it could just be it doesn't happen too often, but it is probably the most, in my opinion, the most unfair broken thing. So this change doesn't really do much in frontline, honestly. It's just like, oh cool, it doesn't address the issue that everyone's complaining about it in frontline. But
True.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at the patch notes and it's like they can change numbers when it comes to front lines, like limit break, build rates, and HP and damage dealt and stuff like that. I don't know if they can do anything other than that though. Like, can they make like Miracle of Nature like
That's so here.
different?
I mean, the solution I would just say is like you get there's a specific resilience to Miracle of Nature. You get hit with it once, you for X amount. I would say the cooldown window of Miracle of Nature, you just can't get hit by it again. So like in
Ah,
CC, that wouldn't change anything. It means whenever Miracle of Nature's back up, you could reuse it again if you so choose to. It
right.
doesn't penalize people in CC unless again Light Party customs. You're doing some
Customs.
goofy crap where you just want to do that, but
Right.
in frontline that would be huge because you only get hit by that once, and then for 45 seconds you can't get Miracle of Nature again. Polymorph won't affect you. So I would love to see something
Very.
like that. So I think that's the way to maybe handle it.
Yeah, it's a very easy fix. I was like,
Well, but I know what you're getting at, Brian. Like changing numbers between the two different modes. Is that even like possible outside of like frontline where they do HP and damage
yeah,
modifiers, which seem a little to me a little too. They're not granular enough. They're like too broad strokes, and I think they don't do. They don't. They're not good enough, in my opinion. Whereas because people are complaining about like actual like functionality and
right. Oh
specific
yeah,
potency changes,
true.
and we have no idea if they could do that. For example, one popular idea pitched is could the LBs stay as they are for like crystalline conflict, but could we go back to the old LB system for frontline where there is no more job specific ones? It's like ranged have their AoE ones, melee have their single target, healers have a healing one, and tanks have a defensive one. Because the current LB meta like kind of screws things up because it's not nothing is really balanced around large scale. And when all these
Right.
actions are compounded, it gets out of hand. So that's one of the things is like, can they even do that? Could they even give us separate LBs in each mode, or is that just not possible? And like that direction stuff. I don't know if you've ever thought about that.
Oh yeah, I have. I always just give Essie the benefit of that, like, oh, indie company, they can do
Yep.
this.
More like maybe the PvP team is a small indie company, and they are making an indie game right now. They're basically supporting a PvP live service game with like probably a skeleton crew at best.
That's what it feels like. But yeah, we'll see in the future because like they always do big changes in the expansion, so we don't really know what 7.0 and 7.1 will bring. We do know it's a new frontline map, but like, are they gonna like do more than just add a new couple buttons? Because we know we're getting a couple buttons from the like level 100 abilities for sure. But
Yeah, I don't know. Like this will be interesting to see if they give us if they. I'm expecting we might have some like ability swap out even in PvP, where like maybe a skill goes bye bye and we get something different.
yeah,
I don't know if they'll add more than we already have. Like I would say +1, because some jobs do have more, like one or two more abilities than the
yeah,
other ones. They're like within a certain range. But I don't think like the maximum amount we have, it's gonna go more than +1 over that at best. But yeah, you're right. We have to wait for what these changes are going to be, and like they could, who knows, they could surprise us and do something different, which is like kind of like what they did with this patch, and we've been putting this off for a little bit, but yeah, they did some changes to frontline. They
right,
did broad strokes changes. I'll be very quick about this. They
sure,
changed some damage modifiers to some of the jobs. Gunbreaker and Astro got a -5% damage DPS modifier. I am a little surprised by this because
same,
Gunbreaker needs to be they need a group sync setting to thrive. I mean, obviously they're very skilled Gunbreakers who are the exception, but in general, solo Gunbreaker is the easiest thing to like delete in frontline. It's the most obvious thing. So when like, and a lot of their damage comes from their LB. So when
right,
they
right,
let
right,
that
right.
rip into a group without any kind of sync, they're just dead. They're gonna get like shut down, dead,
Uh
and they're
huh.
done. So like reducing their damage in let me back up real quick, Brian. Sorry, this is very important. Why don't we get explanations for these changes like we do for the
Oh,
other ones? Sorry,
I,
this is like the whole thing I want to ask you about.
oh my
We
god.
get the job balance explanations. Could we get explanations about every other PvP change ever?
Okay,
Like devs,
SC,
if you're
here
watching,
just
please. Like,
yeah.
why? We need. I know. I'd like to. I just.
That's
I'm
you're
like, this
right.
is guesswork at this point. We don't know
You were
why.
100% right.
Uh
The fact that they did even Crystal Conflict patch notes, that's like something recent they did for
yeah.
this expansion. But yeah, you're right. They definitely should. Because like I have no idea. I've never really seen Gunbreaker like dominate frontlines too much. It does happen, but not like as much as the other jobs. So seeing it nerfed
It's
is
very
weird.
it's very strong. It's just a little weird. Like I would just like to know why, because maybe like, oh, they do put more value into this or something else, because from
Right.
my personal experience, it is very strong damage wise. It just needs, it's just not like as free as maybe some other jobs, or as easy to get off
Agreed.
that much
Ast-
damage.
and Astro, I would expect because Astro, like I don't know if you've seen the Astro pre-mades running. That's really strong. They're so hard to kill, and they have like decent damage. So I could see that getting a damager.
Astro, yeah, that one is less. I mean, that one is, I feel like, is more impactful for like like over the course of like the 15-20 minutes of a match. Like you'll see, like we'll get to like the other jobs. I think it's just
Mhm.
like bringing them down to like parity with the other jobs for the effort. I do think like while their LB is huge to like the team synergy, and then like stacking that with balance and stacking that with their double gravity and like macro into like a big
Yeah,
group, like that's a huge amount of damage that
yeah.
really none of the other jobs can like do that single huge burst of the healer jobs can do that big of a burst under those conditions. Scholar does regularly out DPS any of the other healers,
Oh
but
yeah, 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 yeah.
it's this it's this dot damage over time, and it's
Right.
like it's blatant padding. Like maybe some scholar stacks are a little bit like impactful, but in general, it's not like earth shattering. And I'm like, it's maybe the knee
Oh,
jerk reaction at first was like scholar was a little too like overpowered with their buff when they got the damage buff, but Now it's kind of like, they get high numbers, but like they don't really change the course of a
You
frontline
have to
game.
stack it. Yeah, you have to have
Yeah.
like 6 to 8
Oh
maybe.
yeah.
Like
Then
the
you start feeling that pain. But
yeah.
so yeah, I'm not too surprised by the Ashen, but the Gunbreaker
Right.
one surprised me.
Same.
Dragoon up, they got a -10. This makes a lot of sense because Dragoon is
Yeah.
routinely the top melee DPS and hangs with like the highest damage, and they're still near usually at the top. That
Even
changed
with
to
this
the
nerf.
yeah, even with this nerf. They're still up. Like I don't think none of the other melees really can. I mean, Samurai you'll got a damage reduction as well. Otherwise, I thought they would have been able to keep up or surpass them. But they also got a -10 damage reduction, 10% damage reduction as well overall. So that kind of hurts them a little bit. But Dragon was just like, man, they just destroyed. And once they got to any kind of like battle high 2 or higher, their LBs just started to like destroy,
Yeah,
especially with the
yeah.
change to like, the within 5 yalms, like doing double potency on Sky Shatter. It's like, okay, with the setups in frontline, that's like just disgusting. So
Yeah, it's
I
like
understand.
that's the main setup,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was like, okay, I understand why. So
Okay.
that one I'm not too surprised about. Like, and honestly, I think it just brings it back in line with like the other melee. But Samurai might be the one that people are like, why did you reduce
Yeah.
Samurai? They were probably up there, but it's because with the resilience change to purify that you can pre-pop it. Samurai is one of the more like mobile in terms of like getting into group action and specific because you can with Dragoon you can elusive jump into like a group, which you don't really want to do that. But like you have to aim that. With Shikuchi at the point in like aim. With Soden, you just pick a target and you jump in. So like it's kind of like a little bit like easier for some people to do because like it's more immediate. You don't have to spend time aiming.
Sure.
It just goes off. And because the nature of its AoE combo, everything in that line gets hit. And then it has its AoE, its 1, 2, 3 becomes the AoE, as you know.
Right, yeah.
So in that window of 5 seconds of resilience, they can get off 2 Sodens and 2 of those AoEs pretty much without fear, unless it's Warrior or the LBs from Reaper, Dancer, or Monk that will shut you down. So in general setting, I'm personally seeing, you can get into fights faster, and you're seeing like the early opening cycle of like nodes or ice and whatever mode. You can get in there and get a lot of damage and like stay in there longer. And I feel like you can build up your battle high a little bit faster, which is nice.
Damn.
And then also because now you can like pop resilience and like not have probably seeing it in CC. Oh, you want to shut down my LB on Samurai now? It's like you don't have polymorph or you don't have one of those LBs. I got my resilience. Sorry, I'm going in to do this. But in frontline, you don't always want to go for the Kazushi setup off Chi-10. Sometimes you just want to go in, like when it's a big crowd, it's still raw damage. You will still let it rip into like a big group. Yeah. So
when LB's not ready, especially.
Yeah, I think that was probably why. But again, I would love to have an explanation from the developers about this, like why they did that. I could be completely wrong here, but yeah.
So Samurai to me in Frontline is all about LB and getting the battle high early as you can, and then your damage start being reasonable. Because like without battle high on Samurai, it feels like you're just tickling people. To me,
yeah, in the early thing, I do think because more and more people are starting to see that the first set of any of the maps is less about going for the objectives and more. We'll get to Shatter in a second. That's not true maybe in Shatter anymore, but it's about getting your battle high up in the early sets, and then you go for your points. People don't seem to like, as much as you try and preach this in match, people don't understand that. They think, oh, there's an S rank by us, we'll go get it and just stay here and let the other team build up battle high. It's like that's like they don't. Yeah, that's just a lack of understanding.
Yeah. It's been about kills since the beginning, since like ARR frontlines. But yeah, you always have to explain to people because it's not very obvious that like, okay, you got to build a battle high, and then now your team is capable of just wiping the other team and getting more points.
Exactly,
just dominating the nodes.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, Dark Knight Summoner got a 5% reduction. Dark Knight just that's a nerf of some kind of Dark Knight, but like it's not. I don't think it's the nerf people are looking for. I'll just be brutally honest. Like while there is a bit of a skill ceiling to playing Summoner well in frontline. Just in general, though, it is a lot of free damage because of their LB, a lot of free AoE damage. So, like, they're very easy to get high damage out of. like Scholar is probably the job that's more free in terms of getting like high damage. You're just going for like high damage numbers. But like if you're just looking for damage, Summoner is very like a good return on your investment. So I feel like this was necessary because like, all right, too many people are just like getting a lot of like easy damage. But knowing when to use like some of your other stuff, like you're going in for your like melee hit on a Crimson Cyclone, right?
The Ifrit.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, you got to go in for your first hit, and then like now you have your AOE hit. It's like, oh, people just do that wrong and get shut down and die. Like I see so many summoners just jump into a group. Like you can't do that. I mean, you could try now with resilience. Anyway, yes, to getting like actual kills and being more effective, it takes a little bit more. I don't want to like. Any of the summoner mains out there, any of these jobs, playing them well takes actual like skill and knowledge. Like I'm not trying to like degrade anyone here.
I mean, you're right. Like Summoner Bahamut, then to summon it, the Yams is just so big, so it's just like free for it. You don't have to think. You don't have.
It's even worse. True. Like I thought, like I was like, this needs to be done in Rival Wings. Like Summoner keeps getting like, once they get soaring and shit, like just keep alternating LBs. It's like. Summoner is disgusting in Rival Wings.
Summoner is my favorite job in Rival Wings. It's just so strong.
So broken. Yeah. But the Dark Knight change, I think people are just like gasping for air on Dark Knight to break the meta a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is just strictly like, okay, they don't know how or maybe don't want to change Salted Earth. So this is their like, okay, this is our nerf. Enjoy.
I think this gets into what you asked about earlier, Brian, like, and we talked about making changes that only impact one mode and not the other. Can they fundamentally change the functionality of Salted Earth so that it works differently in Frontline versus CC? Because I think how it works now is how it has to work with the current Dark toolkit to be its identity and how it's effective in CC. Yeah. If you were to like kill the draw people in ability in CC, like what is Salted Earth? And at that point, it's like a dot for people and something you stand in to like maybe heal a bit, and like you can bind people if they're dumb enough to like walk through it. It's like
it needs to pull in, especially with the way the game latency work. Like you can't really like choose like, where people are gonna be, so it needs that pull in to work in like both modes, honestly.
Yeah. So that was something, and then this next one was one Dark Knight. Gunbreaker Summoner got LB duration to fill up the LB bar takes longer. They added 15 seconds. So they get less LBs per match now. And that's, for Gunbreaker, that makes me think they were definitely looking at like the team synergy matches and looking at maybe some data from one, because I'm pretty sure they can see when there are light parties and matches. I hope they would have that data and then see like maybe like what this team, how like the points they won by and like the overall damage, and be like, oh, look at Gunbreakers, they're doing so much damage. And like I don't know, maybe they actually watch some footage on top of that. I like, this is the thing, we don't know. They don't ever really speak to this, but this makes me think they're looking at team comp setups.
Sure.
Yeah.
I am shocked about Summoner though. Like, so Summoner has not been scary to me in Frontlines in a long time, like since they first nerfed it. But apparently, like, it's doing well in some way if they're gonna nerf the damage and the limit break.
I do think that
or is it just usage?
The videos. Sorry, hang on one sec. I think this
maybe it's mostly usage when it comes to Summoner.
I think Summoner is very strong in Frontline.
You do?
I do. When you know how to play it a little bit more effectively than just letting your LBs rip. They're very easy, I think, to get battle high very quickly. And then once they're at high battle high, they're very disgusting. They are very effective. They're one of the easiest jobs to draw out like a Samurai LB because of, Radiant Aegis. Like how many times, I mean, like in CC, it's a little bit easier, but with the madness of how many people are fighting, it's so easy to bait a bunch of that stuff, like Samurai LBs onto you. It's like, you have no, you can't, because you don't see the party list. You don't see the enemy party list in Frontline, so you can't easily see everyone's buff, debuffs, LB stat. Like that's another thing. You don't see LB status, so it's kind of like a guessing game unless you magically focus target and saw that in time. So I can't tell you how many times Samurai, I'll purposely go hit them under Chi-Ten and be like, pop rating A, just like, all right, let's sit back and watch, and they just let the LB
Right.
rip, and it's like, wow, like, so I mean, it's a good tool for that, but just in general, like, I mean, their AOE damage can be like very disgusting, but let's also their single target. I'm greedy. I'm a greedy asshole. If I see someone with like a decent battle high and they're low, I'll solo LB their ass as part of like my burst. If I have full burst,
Definitely.
I'll do that under LB, and I'm like, you're dying, you're going down right now. It's like, I mean, that's the name of the game in Frontline. It's not about how much damage, it's getting your battle high so you can like roll through people. So I think even spending your LB on a single kill, like Dragoon LB on someone who popped guard. I mean, CC shit. Oh, you guarded, but it's Frontline. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use my LB and get your kill because I'm getting 10 points right now. Versus like, I'm only gonna get like maybe a few assists. You know, if I'm getting less than 10 points off this, I feel this is worth it. But this is gonna make you. This is the change though, Brian, because they added time onto it. It's like, oh, I need to be a little bit more selective in my LBs now. Maybe I'm not going to waste it on a single target anymore in Frontline. That's actually a bad idea. So I think this is maybe part of it as well, or I would hope it's part of it, but you never know.
Yeah. It's just shocking to me because like I've done summoner pre-mades and I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's not bad, but like let's just get on Dark Knight Dragoon and actually
I mean, yeah, let's be honest. I mean, it like if you're trying to win, and like people are playing seriously, I mean, yeah, the comp matters. I mean, if you already have Dark, Astro, Dragoon, and a Shield Breaker, you do want to bring a summoner with you for that like AoE damage and stay with them. Like it is very hard hitting under those circumstances, and you want that with you. So I mean, but if you have multiple, it's like, okay, maybe you don't need 2 summoners on your team. Like maybe someone switched to something that's going to be a little bit more useful there.
Okay, so I have a question for you. When you play Frontlines, do you like base your comp on the other members of the alliance, or
I mean, it's a little bit depends on certain factors. If I recognize names,
okay,
and if I recognize names and people pick jobs, I will pick something that'll complement the group, and I think will help us win. Also, it's also a mood thing. It's like even when it's not names recognized, I'll like give the benefit of the doubt and like let's try playing something. Oh, we don't even have a caster in this group. Like what do I think? And I look at what we have. I'm like, will red mage, black mage, or summoner probably go best with our group? Like how I think. And then this comes down to like, okay, there is no team synergy. What am I gonna like? I'm just gonna play something I think is good. So it's either I'm playing something I'm gonna have fun with for that match because it's gonna be a lost cause match, and you could tell kind of at a certain point, or maybe it's something like this is a strong job solo that can it can get battle high a little bit easier, and you can start rallying people around that and get people in. Like I do think sometimes like when you're getting like punched in the mouth by a hard team and you can pick something that can at least go in there, it's like look at that person, they're like just fighting all these people and stuff, and like they're actually starting to back off. Oh, like you got to give people like a sign of like life, a little bit of like optimism. I mean, call outs are like the best way, but as we've seen, I mean, we'll save this for a second. I'll say about like call outs shouldn't not be essential to winning in the current structure, but we'll get into that. But yeah, sometimes people just don't listen to call outs, whatever it is. It's like people have tunnel vision and they need to see what's in front of their face. So they're not looking at chat. And so they see their team getting decimated. They just kind of give up and shut down. And like, that's a whole other topic about why I dislike, there's a distinct difference between light party in Frontline and pre-made in Frontline. Light party is a group of friends playing because you just want to play together and have fun and you want to enjoy it. Pre-made to me in the context of Frontline is organizing 4 people for the purpose of gaining an upper hand on the other teams, which is when you're mixed with solo queue people. I don't think that's the fairest thing in the world right there. I think that's a little against the spirit of what they're trying to do, but it is a necessary evil because like how the hell do you even like delineate that? Like how do you like discern who's doing it for that and stuff? Like how do you even like enforce that? And also we want the mode to be active. So it's like, I'd rather take that. But at the same time, if teams are getting curb stomped, it demoralizes people. And yes, you have the casuals queuing just for their dailies, but like, I want people to maybe take it who have a slight interest in PvP, not to be scared off right away. Like, just like when you have any other like competitive PvP based game, they have casuals, but they have ranked, and you don't get pushed ranked against the higher ranked people because you don't want to get curb stomped and be like, you're not going to learn anything from that. Like, and you know about this. I don't need to explain this
I know
to you.
exactly what
Sorry.
you're talking about.
But yeah,
No, this is good.
But yeah, this is why I kind of like, and if I had the choice, if it was up to me, I'd be like, yeah, no, you could queue with one friend. I would allow two-person pre-mades allowed, no more 4 in frontline. I would get rid of 4.
This is a hot take.
Yeah, I think it's. I want to go nuclear and just outright ban them. I would just be like, let's cut it in half and like force RNG to decide whether or not more people get stacked on one team or not. Because if everyone queues solo and you get everyone on like your team that you recognize the names, like so be it. Like what you can't do anything about that. Unless you have like a behind the scenes ranking system to distribute people. And I don't think they're ever going to do that in front.
This is the solution.
Okay. What's the solution?
Custom front lines.
I mean, you're speaking my language, Brian.
Custom front lines where people can just like try hard. We can just like do fun, goofy stuff, and that'll be it. And then leave the solo queue for like people who want to just get their dailies and just jump in for like a little bit.
It would definitely help people who want to organize our sync events because we could actually put people on different teams if you wanted to make them balance. And maybe they would even be cool enough to give us more options, like, you know, turning off certain things or turning on certain things or just things to make it kind of fun. I'm all for like giving us as much as possible, even if it leads to chaos. If it's too crazy, chaotic, and it like seems unfair, then just don't make it count towards anything. Like, it doesn't count towards achievements. Like, it's just for fun.
Expecting that.
Yeah,
I was making customs.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, just make them for fun. So like,
Crystal Conflict customs, there's no reward.
Exactly, so, right? I mean, I would even say like if they give us custom, like let Blue Mage freaking play in it. Just like who cares? Like, it's not messing with people in the regular queue. Like it's people willingly signing up to play with this. Like let them, let them fight.
Frontlines to me always feels like it's just went downhill because like we used to have like 8v8, for example, and for me that was like super fun. I used to like stay up late at like 4 a.m. just so like there's less people in the queue, and then we do 8v8 all night with my grand company in my link shell. Like that was like the best time in the game for me, and it's just gone completely.
Yeah, we could have that back if we got customs. That's one of the things that you could have, like set it to 8v8v8, and maybe they adjust the cycles for the PvE objectives in the map for how they're going to spawn based on that.
That has to be in the system still, right? Because it's the same map. It's still Shatter. Wait, Shatter's different.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but like, good point. I definitely want to get into this with you, but let's finish the last thing really quick about the patch notes, which is they changed Shatter. Again, I'm actually shocked this happened because in patch 6.4, they introduced us to a new version of the map Shatter, the Fields of Glory, the ice map, the snow map. If you don't know names, it's like that snow map you come on.
Yeah.
They overhauled the layout of the map. A lot of people were unhappy with that, and then they changed the ice placement, and a lot of people were unhappy about it. And I know I don't like saying a lot of people, but every match I go in and all the discords I'm in, people are just not happy with Shatter. So the people who are the veterans who keep playing PvP, they are the ones who are unhappy with this. Casual players, I don't know. Like, you know, that's something Square Enix would have to do like a survey for and get more information on that. But for the people who actually care about PvP and are in it time and time again, there's a myriad of reasons why they are unhappy with the current Shatter. But they decided, Square Enix, to our surprise, decided to change it. And so what happened? The footage I've been rolling on the bottom of the screen so far has been a Shatter match I captured. They changed the way the ice appears. Big ice now appears right away to big ice at the beginning of the match. So at the 35 seconds of the match, the first big ice are actually active and you can engage them. And they will keep popping. Whenever one goes down, there's a fixed time till the next one will pop. And they're just constantly going off 2 of them. There are only 2 times in the match that little ice spawn now. They spawn around 7 minutes into the match. And they spawn, with 13 minutes left on the clock, they spawn. And around like 5 minutes, 6 minutes left on the clock, or 4 minutes on the clock, there's only 2 sets. The second set will pop based on when their previous one was destroyed. This is kind of like the old secure nodes. Like they would pop, they would reappear based on when they were destroyed. This is this now. So there's
Oh, okay.
but during
Interesting.
those two little ice segments, all the ice are active. So like every single ice is just active
Right.
for those two things. Fundamentally, I think that's a good idea. But what is the end result, Brian? What we're getting right now? Matches are longer than ever. The footage I captured from today, the shortest match ended with roughly 4 minutes on the clock, which is not too terrible. But I've seen so many timeouts, matches that end in timeouts now because of that, and that's to me is not good for frontline.
Awful.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yes.
Literally boring. I remember when they first changed Shatter, I just couldn't, like, I was falling asleep, and if it got worse, that sounds awful to me. When all ice are up, I imagine like the plan is just to like break the ice, right? Like,
Yes. So they made another important change. They reduced kill points. They cut
right,
them
I
in
saw that.
half. So Death Ball is not as effective. So for some context, for people who aren't familiar, the new Shatter map, when it dropped in 6.4, people were trying to figure out what's the best strategy. Destroy ice, kill people, a mix of both. I mean, the strongest strategy to date is to stay as a group and set up pinch opportunities and just blow through people. You get your battle high, you can destroy ice faster, and like you just ignore most ice. You basically on your path to setting up each next pinch, you maybe have a small group chip away at the ice along the way, but you are always going for hitting groups of
Right.
people. That is what the strongest groups did. And I think a lot of people are getting frustrated with that. That like that was the mode where Death Ball was the strongest, and that was the way to win. There was very little strategy to countering it by engaging objectives. So they cut the points in half. It used to be a 10-point swing. Now it's just like a 5-point swing.
Five,
So
yeah.
they did that, and you're seeing that. So while teams can still Death
Yeah.
Ball, it's not you're not doing it to win off kills anymore. It's you're trying to get battle high. You set up Death Ball to get battle high, and then you got to go race and get the ices. So early game is still about getting kills, in my opinion,
Okay.
but then
Of
it
course,
is
yeah.
about the objectives. It's about getting as much points off ice. But here's where the other problem comes, Brian. There's no more the ice on the edges, Brian. You know, there's no more throughway access to them. It's just the two approaches. There's one to if you're at your base, the ice to your left is your safe one because there's a ramp down, and then there's only one ramp from middle to it. There's no more other ramp from the opposing side. Remember, there used to be a way to come from behind and loop around behind to the big
Yes.
ice. There's no more three-way approach to every big ice. So people are complaining that there's not good setups to have like a fair fight. So if two ice spawn, big ice spawn in the beginning, Brian, and neither are the ones that are by your base that are your ice, quote unquote. Now you have to pick one group, you have to pick one, and someone's always going to get an advantage. So they think RNG is like, oh, eventually you're going to get your advantage, but people are complaining that this is disincentivizing actual PvP right now.
Oh yeah,
So
of course.
yeah, so that's the other big complaint is that because the map design impacts how you can approach people in group setting, it is diminishing the level of PvP needed to win.
Yeah, yeah. When I first saw it, that was my immediate thought, just on the basis of having all ice up at the same time. And yeah, that sucks a lot. I don't know if they're doing it to like satisfy casual, because I think like the casual people just want to break ice and like have a PvE moment in PvP, but it's just like awful. I gotta try it though. I gotta
Yeah,
try it
I'm
for
very
myself,
curious to
Joe.
see what you think. I mean, I haven't spent I'm probably like, I got enough matches in there, but I don't feel too comfortable making super declarative statements. Only like 1 week into this,
Right,
I
right, of
haven't had a
course, yeah, yeah.
chance. I tried this morning, but I forgot it's Gold Week, I guess, in Japan. So I don't know if a lot of people. I don't know if that's correct, but like no, like the queues are kind of like dead for Frontline in JP. When I tried to go in earlier this morning, so I couldn't get a
Mhm.
match. I wanted to see if like maybe JP was trying something a little bit different.
Ooh.
But I would guess probably not because as of late, there's been very few regional differences between the styles of frontline play, especially with the Borderland Ruins going bye-bye for
Oh
now.
my
Like that was the
god.
one map we could always point to where like there are different
Complete
strategies.
difference. Complete
So, but this
difference.
is a good
Yeah.
point, Brian, because you're like I think you're right that maybe Shatter is just to appease people who like are tired of getting like destroyed by pre-mades or they don't know how to PvP well and like They just want to do their daily and have fun. This is the one day. It's like, oh, ice day. I get to go destroy, as we say, lick ice. I'm going to go lick ice and have a fun time. And they enjoy that. And for the rest of us, it's like, crap, it's Shatter. Let's try to get Rival Wings to pop today. Or maybe this is the day we'll go try Crystalline Conflict for a little bit. It hurts more for someone like me because now there's only 2 maps, 2 days in the rotation that I look forward to, Onsol and Seal Rock. And until we get Secure back, whatever the hell that's gonna look like if it comes back, if
even for me, like I love Crystal Conflict, but I want PvP variety. I want like my 4 maps back and like,
I was wrong.
Active.
Sorry, Golden Week's later this year. I'm sorry. Later. So maybe something else is going on today. But yeah, I'm Brian. I'm with you. This is the one thing when people say they don't understand like dev mentality, like I think it's a lack of understanding or interaction. There's a lack of communication. They just don't know there's a person behind it. Each developer is a person, and they there's only so much they can do and keep track of and communicate. One thing I really wish and hope I get an opportunity to communicate to the dev team at some point is that I don't understand why they take away things when they don't need to. For example, I don't understand why we don't have the old Shatter map in some form. Like, even if they don't want it to be a part of the rotation because they don't want it, like, why can't it just be there for us to manually queue into if we want to have that option? Now, I could see for that one specifically, like, well, now you're taking player population away from the duty roulette each day. And we need them to be able to queue into that. So, like, I would rather have it in the rotation. You know what? Like, who knows? Maybe some people really like the old Shatter. Why don't you, like, leave it in there? Same thing with like Secure. I don't understand why they took away Secure. Like, if it's not coming back soon, just leave it in there. People were playing it. Maybe they had the complaints, but keep it in there until you have the new version ready to deploy. And I think this goes beyond PvP content, like for PvE content as well. Like, I don't understand why they can't leave things in to give us, and like, if they don't want to, again, they don't want to count towards stuff, then don't make it count towards anything. Just leave it in there for the sake of, we just want to experience it and try it. So that is one of my honest frustrations, is that I don't like even Astragalus. I'm like, why don't just give us back the existing one until you have the new one ready to go? Like, why? Then you could add the roulette. You'd have 2 maps. Yeah. You can have a roulette technically for Rival Wings if you wanted to, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you feel like that or if you think
I also feel like that, and I would love to know the answers to that. Like, especially Astragalus, it's been so long. Like, what is even the issue at this point?
I know.
What could it be? It's years now, and it's also been no communication in regards to it too. So it's been a long time since they told us, okay, this is gonna come back at some point, or so like it's just a big question mark on that.
I mean, yeah, I would love for them. I mean, I'd go so far as to like, I mean, I'm the one that like asked Yoshi P about the classic servers, right? Sorry, I'm not trying to toot my horn, but like the nightmare thing, I was the one who asked that question of him, but like, I wasn't asking it for like meme factor. Like, everyone thinks like, oh, he asked that because he wanted him to say nightmare and stuff. that was at E3, the last E3 before COVID happened, 2019 E3. I actually was like, I understand you don't want people to play a worse, inferior version of the game, but it's about like access, preservation, history. Like, that version of the game is no longer exist, and like, you have the power to give us access to it, like even if it's like one server. So what I'm getting at this is like, more than ever, I still would like that, but now like for selfish reasons, like I want like a Shadowbringers or Stormblood like classic, so I can go play the old PvP, like just for this stuff. Like, that's, they always
PvP gets into worse because we've lost the most. We've lost like Fold, we lost the Feast, we lost Seal Rock,
Brian.
Secure,
I'm going all out. I don't understand why they haven't added Feast back for fun. Like, just as like a fun, like, it's not ranked, just make it for fun. Like, just give us like training mode Feast, bring it back.
Feast had 5 different maps, like in the Crystal Tower. Like, we lost so much.
I know. And you don't ever, like, I get when it's a game as service, live service, that's the FOMO. They're trying to get you to sub, but like, I understand 14 is also like it's an MMORPG, it's live service, but like it's not the same type of hook. The FOMO is like seasonal events or some stuff like that, but like I don't think that's the driving factor for why people play this game. They like worried they're going to miss out. It's they want to experience all this stuff as much as they can, and that's kind of like the beauty of Final Fantasy 14 is that it's called the Final Fantasy 14 or sorry the Final Fantasy theme park. So I'm always a little like disappointed, disheartened when content is just permanently removed when it really doesn't need to. Feast, I get they wanted CC to thrive, but like that window's happened. CC is the main PvP mode right now. And you can reintroduce Feast, but not make it ranked. It's like for those people who want to experience Feast just in like a casual fun mode, throw it back in there. I mean, is there fear that like, oh, the community is going to adopt it, take it, run with it, and like the PvP community stops playing CC? I highly doubt that's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Is that like a real concern or something? Or I don't know.
My always guess is just like a server thing. Like they can have a certain amount of instances or something.
That could be the reason. Like, yeah, resources could be it. But that's the thing. I would love to ask this question so we could get that answer. It's like, okay, we don't have like the server capacity to have all these instances for that. And it's like, okay, that makes more sense. You have to prioritize. I mean, we kind of come across this in was it Destiny? Because of size limitations on people's hard drives, they vault content because they don't want the install size to be like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes for players. So that's their explanation for why they vault certain content in Destiny. But the vault thing makes it sound like they could come back at some point. So it's like with 14, well, if they ever adopted a vaulted concept, would they ever bring back? Like, even if it's like a limited time thing, like, hey, once every year we'll bring back Feast for a limited time event.
Oh my gosh,
there you go.
That's the answer.
There you go.
I mean, Fall Guys is now a thing, and Fall Guys is gone. So like, they could do that with that as well.
I want to ask you, Brian, about we're getting into like these hypothetical stuff going into the new expansion. What are you like? Oh, let me back up real quick. That's the big question. Sure. Someone in chat asked earlier, and I actually never got your thoughts, and this is a blind spot for me. The most recent CC map, Red Sands. Yeah. Like, how do you feel about that map? Like, how are you enjoying it? How do you think like the sentiment is from the people you've been able to speak to about it?
Yeah, it's really hit or miss for some people. Me personally, I enjoyed it a lot. I think Crystal Conflict is best played with Chaos. I know that sounds like wrong for like a ranked competitive game mode, but it's just the way the game is in terms of like 5 players versus 5 and how the limit breaks work. And I think having just like plain Palistra is not like entertaining enough. And having mechanics and making people think on how to like map diff people is just like super good for the mode. So I like Red Sands a lot. I think it's balanced pretty well too. It's not like Cloud9 where Cloud9 has the weakness of the lanes are too short and like it gets very snowbally. It doesn't have that much issues, and they've been doing a good job balancing Red Sands too. Like it already had in the beginning when it was first released, the map arena reaction could happen during overtime, and they realized, oh, that's just unfair. Like it could literally happen when you're winning and then that you end up losing because of it. So they changed that, and they can see like how that was unfair, and they're gonna keep balancing and make it more fair. But me personally, I like it. As for the community, it's really hard to tell. I've seen some tournaments. We had some community tournaments where people are like, yeah, let's do Red Sands and like trip up the other team. And I've also seen like people say, oh fuck this, let's just do Palistra because it's the more even one.
Something like items, no items, Final Destination smash type thing, situation. Like which side are you on? Yeah, I mean, but yeah, the chaos thing's kind of like nice because that is, even if it's just like for like one map, you still have Palistra where it's like it's kind of vanilla. It's you don't have to worry about the obstacles, and then you got like we got Clockwork Town where it's like, is it Clockwork Town or Clock Town? Clock Town's Majora's Mask. Clockwork Castle or whatever is
Town. Clockwork Castle Town. Yeah.
That's, I keep getting these names wrong. And then Red Sands are like the more chaotic ones, and then like Volcanic Heart's like the in between one kind of, or is it still considered pretty chaotic comparatively?
I think it's chaotic.
Okay, so we have like 3 chaotic maps and one neutral, and one that everyone wants to skip.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, Crystal Conflict, it is something that's ranked and stuff. But I definitely want SE and like the community to understand that it's like a spectator thing too. Like they're running tournaments. It's not just for players, it's for people to watch and enjoy and like have that. And I think those maps really bring that out.
All right. Yeah. That's I agree. Even though I don't have the experience, I definitely like this is what I expected. So I expected to hear. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I like play. It's like I will watch someone streaming when I'm playing. I get in their match and they'll see me like, what? He's playing CC today. I'm like, it's probably it's probably Shatter Day, right? And I don't have anything. I mean, like less lately now because I'm playing so many other games. Like it's like Shatter. I'm like, go play another game today. Bye. Do my dailies and bye. See you 14 for the day. I want to ask. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I said this is season 10, so that's like the best Roman numerals. We don't have much incentives, so like,
hey, it's a nice looking
portrait is what you have to go for.
It's nice and clean looking. It's symmetrical, so people are into that. It's gonna be coveted for sure. 10th seasonal anniversary. There you go.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the future. Sorry, I started to ask this earlier and I cut it off. But going into Dawntrail, what types of changes would you like to see happen, and what are you kind of expecting to happen when we get to like 7.1 or even before?
Yeah. So what I'm expecting to see on release like 7.0, the new jobs be like super bad because that's what happened with Reaper and Sage. It'll be super bad, and then 7.1 they'll adjust them and they'll be decent. We do know the frontline map is coming. It should be coming around that time too. So I'm just hoping that's gonna be like very PvP focused. I don't want them to like keep doing this shatter like PvE into PvP thing anymore. So I'm really hoping like it's just like super PvP oriented in whatever way that means. Obviously they're gonna do like an objective. That's what like frontline core is. But I'm really hoping it's really like brawly in general. Um I want to see more communication. I want to know what's hopefully by then there's gonna be answers on secure and Astragallos at least because they've never said like if they're done with those. Those stuff are like they always told us those stuff will come back. So we just need answers on that for sure. And yeah, I hope the Dawntrail frontline map or the frontline map is gonna be like in the space or something on the moon.
Oh, heck yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I hope so. Yeah, I agree with you with the frontline map. Like, I hope it's like a little more in a direction. So I have some like more specific questions for you regarding like the future. So I want to get your thoughts on these. So since you are very experienced in like ranked queue, and like a lot of good like placing in like all the different regions constantly. Let me ask you about. Do you have any thoughts for potential changes to the rank system? Have you like given thought to like what they could do? And the second part of the question, after you give that answer, is do you think they should? Do you think there would be any path forward where they adopt a more kind of like light party tournament season, where in exchange for not having a rank queue anymore, Square Enix works to organize tournaments like on a like scheduled basis, like maybe let's just say monthly, that lead into a like a seasonal championship? Would you prefer something like that, or do you have ranked changes you'd rather see happen that you think would be a better fit?
Gotcha. Well, first, I think the main issue with ranked right now is a lack of player base. We start seasons really strong, lots of people playing, like active almost all day on all regions too, except for maybe the Aussies materia, unfortunately. But every other region is like super active. Then it starts dying down. People get their placements, and then it starts dying down. I think SE needs to. It's just more about like them showcasing like, okay, this mode exists. Get people encouraged to play. For keeping rewards fresh. I think like when they add crystal trophy stuff, people jump into ranked actually, and just PvP in general. We need to like get people like, okay, try casual queue, try front lines, and then like they'll like pivot into ranked. That happens very often. I think they just need to keep pivoting people like that way through rewards. Um, as for like specific ranked rewards, I'm still like kind of like hesitant because of what happened with Feast. Like people win trade, people RMT it. So it's just how I feel about it. As for like Light Party, I already know that they're gonna do more tournaments. Spoilers. They will do more tournaments. Like they done the Community Cup before before CCRC. They did a Community Cup, which is like me and Lippy did commentary. It was on the official stream, and those type of stuff is really nice. Your idea is like way better, like having like what Guild Wars do. Guild War does that, right? When they do
I
like the
mean, yeah, it's
tournaments.
also like I'm just ripping off Capcom Cup, like where they have like, or it's like, I mean, and they weren't even the first to do it. Sorry, I'm more familiar with like you're very into like Capcom stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I follow that a little bit more than any other scene, so like that's what I'm most familiar with. So
Oh
sorry if I'm
yeah.
like not giving the original thing credit, but it's like, yeah, teams compete and they get points on their placement, and at the end of
Oh,
the season,
definitely.
the top placing teams get into the championship tournament. Yeah. Just like that.
Lovely. We'll love to see that type of that's like peak Light Party, like team play support that would be. Um I'm still hesitant towards having a Light Party queue because once again that's something we've seen
Oh yeah.
before. We it would be super unbalanced. It'd be like new players and like veterans trying to play it against each other, and it's just not enough player base. Like we see in ranked already that the player base is not big enough. Like the queues start dying in the lower ranks and the higher ranks. And if they do that for a Light Party, it's even harder because people have to like schedule like, okay, us five are gonna queue at the same time, and they have to queue at the same time, and it just like it doesn't work out usually. And it's just like a 14 thing to me. Like we just don't have like people are just not encouraged enough or interested in PvP. And Yoshi B has said this all the time. Like it's just not a PvP game. So like that queue is not ideal. To support the community better would be like what you said, which would be like tournaments, organic tournaments like that run by them. Having a system like that is great. I was thinking even more simple, which is just like they just have more tournaments frequently.
Yeah, I honestly think that's more realistic. Is that they just organize like maybe like an extra tournament or two a year, because
Yeah,
the regional championships only happen in the fan fest,
yeah,
years, which are not every year. So if they could maybe do like even like an annual like tournament would
yeah,
be like better than nothing. I would imagine.
yeah, yeah.
Let
They
me.
just got to give us communication on that because they, like I said, they've done it. They did the community. They call it Community Cup, which is run by the community team, and it's just like a for fun thing. The reward was the parasol, the fat cat parasol, which
Okay.
yeah, they give that for FanFest at 2, I believe. For FanFest contests, but that was a reward for the winning teams of the tournament.
Real quick, if they couldn't do something like that, would you? I know probably the answer is yes to this, but would you like? Do you think they should do, at least if they're going to stick with just like the regional championships? Do you think they should, like, after they're done, do a world championship with all like the regional things, like, at least?
Heck yes.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say yes, but
Yeah, every Frosty, all the commentators, Lip D, Rogue, we were all like, yes, please, let's just do that, and just like they have the money. It's Square Enix. They can fly people to Japan or something.
yeah, yeah, I think it would just be like the first and second place teams from each region like get to go and just do
That would
like.
be
I
insane.
mean, they could, yeah, figure out the format however they want to do it, but feels weird to have like regional and then not have like the world championship when they're going to go
Yeah, the
that far.
final thing.
Let me circle back around to rewards,
Hmm.
because you talked about like how to get like the player base more engaged, and
Yeah.
rewards, PvP rewards has come up a lot from you. Other content creators have said that that's one of the things that's kind of lacking, both from like the ranked season rewards to even the series rewards for people who play all the different types of PvP modes towards that. Um, like, I mean, do you have any more specific ideas? And like, would something like you mentioned concern about like if they offered it to like a season rewards, like top 100 mounts or minions came back, couldn't they just do something where if you win, like you do that, you get them first, but then they're like cost an exuberant amount of like trophy crystals or some or wolf marks or whatever, so that like people could grind over a lot of time, but only through PvP to keep people active. Like would
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would something like that you think work
Oh
maybe?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Like all the Crystal Trophy awards cost around the same. They could have something that's just like hella expensive, and because rank gives you a ton. Like you get insane amounts for when the season ends. So yeah, I definitely could see something like that. And we also still have the wolf collars that you get
Mm-hmm.
for not wolf collars. What are they called?
We have the wolf marks, wolf collars. The wolf marks are the ones that you can buy like materia with. And then you
There's
have
a
the
new
trophy
one.
crystals. And then
There's a new one for ranked where it's like you get to have
oh, to
the
get the
augmented
shiny
weapons.
weapon or
Yeah.
the not
Yeah.
shiny. I'm thinking of variant and criterion and stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Shiny hellhound weapon
yes,
thingy.
that one. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, those like that has not caused any issues. So they could do something with that too. That's not
Do you
causing
think
issues.
there's maybe too many currencies for PvP? Do you think
Yes.
they should consolidate it down?
Yeah.
Yeah, a
100%.
little too many there. Any other reward ideas you've ever thought of that you think could
Oh yeah,
help?
yeah. I originally thought like so the battle pass series would have like something cool and unique. Like it does have like a mount usually or armor, and then ranked would have another version of that same armor or mount just recolored. I think
Mm,
that would be like a good balance between okay, people will want this, but they probably won't go too crazy for it and cheat. I know that's always my concern, and maybe it's I'm a paranoid from the past, but that's how I feel about it.
okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like adding like that type of stuff to like the series pass, even
Yeah,
if it's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
reskin recolor. Like I would gladly take was it the one chair mount that's like the boss in Stormblood, and
Oh
or
yeah.
some of the Final Fantasy 6 themed mounts that are PvP only. It's like those are like I was like, come on, like you can't give it like a reskin or a recolor.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did that for like the team rewards at one point, right? There were just like a different color version of those as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
they have a precedent for doing something like that.
Yeah. So let me the season 3 mount was like the red hellhound. And then season 4 was a blue hellhound. And then Light Party season 3 was like a green one.
Okay,
And then
there you go.
there's a pink one. And then they're so rare. Like no one has like the green one.
I think yeah,
Not
just
even
giving a version of that to people would be like, a good first
a
step.
lot of
It's like,
assets.
oh,
Yeah.
and even if you keep giving like exclusive color variants to like the reward winners, giving like a generic version to participants if they
Yeah,
play enough.
exactly.
And the goal is just to get
100%.
them playing in the ecosystem so you have like the increased player base.
Yeah,
Um,
and they will get encouraged. Like I see new people play ranked CC all the time, and then the reason why they started is because they did casual, and they're like, "Oh, let me try to grind out this battle pass," and then they like it, and then they go into ranked, and that's what they have to just keep doing.
I have a hard time seeing this perspective. I have people in my FC or people in my stream have to like tell me I'm wrong about this. Because we play so much PvP, I think like the series pass is too fast. It's like, oh, I'm done. Like I got everything. Like I want them to be more frequent. Like why can't we have like one every like 0.5 patch or whatever?
Oh my
And I have people
god.
in my chat scream, no, that's too fast. I'm like, really? I was like, okay.
Yeah, people on the forums literally to this day complain it's right now that it's like too hard.
Okay.
And
The
it's like you could do front lines every day, like not even every day, like once or every other day, and like you'll get it done eventually. But
Okay. Yeah, that was one thing I always thought. I was like, why don't they like make update the series a little bit more frequently? And people are like, no, you understand. Like, not everyone does this, and like it's hard to. It's more FOMO all of a sudden. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. So these have been really good ideas. I have an extreme like hot take idea. I'm kind of curious about your thoughts
okay,
about adding a meaningful reward to PvP that would get a lot of people to play PvP. Has nothing to do with mounts or minions, and it solves another large scale issue that a lot of I think the some of the 14 community has, and it's gearing and gearing multiple jobs. I would
oh,
be thrilled if they would introduce a third gear set through PvP that could be used in PvE that was staggered so it was behind the raid and tome gear so as not to get diminish those pools, but like at the catch up part of the patch cycle for that they
yes,
added in a
sir.
third gear set which is meant for your other jobs. Like okay, your primary jobs need to get tombstone and savage gear. That's how you get your best in slot right away and get prepped for whatever you want to do. But it's very hard with those weekly restrictions which don't go away for a long time. And there have been people calling for like get rid of the tombstone, increase the tombstone restrict, blah blah blah. What if they just made it like at the .5 part, it's like, oh, now there's a new PvP gear set that drops. It looks sick for PvP. It's a nice PvP reward, but it also is another alternative to getting the current max eye level gear for your other jobs. It's like solves that like gearing up faster.
We've literally had this. You know that, right?
Yes, I know what you're about to say. It's still in there. You still like it's for the older stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it's 115, and then like final coil, which is like the last gear, was like 130, and tombstone augmented was 120. So yeah, it was pretty much exactly like you said. And I loved it. Like I used to use that stuff like as I was getting into final coil and stuff. And as for like in today's generation, I don't see the harm really. Like I can't think of a negative. Can you? Like
I mean, the biggest concern is the population balance, the pool of people playing certain content. And to be frank, raid and like dailies for tombstones need to be the highest priority for like the game, in my opinion. Like I love PvP. I want PvP to grow, but if this shifted too much focus on the like PvP and maybe people stop running dungeons or something to like, oh, I'm not gonna get tome gear anymore. I'm just gonna wait for PvP, and all of a sudden the queues start dying for like current content. I could or slow down in any meaningful way. I think that would be the one concern. Obviously, maybe the devs know something we don't know that we're not thinking about. So yeah, I do think there might be some unforeseen consequence that just haven't been thought of that they wouldn't want to try that. Also, philosophy. They might just be like, no, PvP is. We don't want that to exist in the PvP sphere. We don't want people to feel they have to engage in this type of content to get something for a completely unrelated.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't get. I don't know that because like crafted gear is like always really good, and that's like not only is it cheap, it's so easy to get crafted gear and like be ready for a raid. So like, what's the difference?
Yeah, you just have enough like Gil, you just like buy crafted gear, and even with the updates that have been happening, like you can keep upgrading that crafted gear over time. Like it gets you can boost its eye level eventually as well. So I could see like maybe it's just like people don't see it worth it to play PvP to get like another gear set. But that is one of the like larger scale problems, like gearing your alts. Like you hear a lot of people complaining, and with getting 2 more jobs again in Dawntrail, it's like not everyone plays a lot of jobs, but there are. I mean, you want people to try out jobs, so like I'm always against making the leveling grind any harder. Like I'm always for making it easier and easier and gearing easier and easier, because those are the two outside of rating. It's like gearing shouldn't be gating you from anything. Like like gating, I mean your ability to even like try out this job. Oh, it's not even the right eye level. I can't even do this content. Or oh, I won't be taken in a group because I don't have like the best in slot or whatever. It's like you need to like reduce that so that there's less of that type of barrier, so people can play the content they want to try out and like not make it as ridiculous. But at the same time, the balancing act is, how do you reward? You still need to reward raiders. You need to reward them for like clearing difficult content and gear. So it's like I understand this is a very difficult ask, but that's why I said it's a hot take and a radical idea. It's like adding in another relevant gear set back into PvP for people to choose from.
Yeah, I know we're a minority of people who just like pay the game for PvP mostly, but I feel like they should like at least think about that audience a little bit. A little bit, at least.
I mean, we can go even more radical. We could tie the next relic to that would get a lot of outcry. Let me ask you this. So we know they already said we're getting new maps for Frontline. Yeah. We're getting at least a new map for Rival Wings. You kind of talked about what you wanted from that Frontline map. What about like CC maps? Is there any kind of like hope you have for what they're going to introduce for in terms of like a CC map design idea?
So we have like fire with the volcano. Maybe like a ice. with some slip and slide, slippery ice. That's the only thing I can really see. Like snow cloak area or something like
Have
that.
like the avalanche come in, like on that
Oh
newer dungeon.
man.
The first boss has like the stampede going across or whatever.
They're adding mechanics in it. Like Red Sands has like real like okay, you gotta run away from this. You gotta move a specific way for this. So I could definitely see it. And yeah, I think as long as they balance it and make it fair, like I'm here for it.
Do you want them to try and rework Cloud9 at all? Like just like maybe redesign the map, or do you think it's like best to just leave it as is, and like it's just less frequent in the rotation as is the fine solution for it?
Oh, let me just speak of rotation. I hate the rotation right now. I hate that police. I hate that police share is the most often one. At least make it even with the newest map. So Red Sands should be on even with Police, I would say. Um, but as for balancing Cloud9, I don't even know what they could do. Really, they would have to. Would they make another path? I don't know how they would do that. Honestly,
Okay. I mean, if they, yeah, so you'd rather them maybe like just like, re-
if
yeah,
they're the devs. So yeah, I
yeah.
would say I'm gonna say yes. They
Okay.
they they should try and balance it. Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you about this because this is a big thing I want to see them do a little bit more of. We got a little bit of it in this expansion, some UI changes to the
Oh
PvP
yeah.
interface. Most notably in Frontline, we got a new
The top.
score interface at the top. Yeah, and we've had revisions to the minimap in CC. So I would like to see more UI changes happen because one of my gripes with Frontline and Rival Wings is that they are utilizing PVE elements for like the communication for giving you information, specifically the mini map and the full map. And I would like to see them adopt something like they've done with CC, where it's a map
Mhm.
that's more designed with PvP in mind that illustrates PvP elements a little bit better and gives people a little bit more appropriate information easier. But then because having to like hit a button to open a map and see like keep your map open is like that's not, to me, that actually is a detriment. It shouldn't
Yeah,
be that way. So that's the stuff I had in mind. Also,
I
information.
agree.
Where do you go in game right now to see how much a kill is worth in Frontline?
Oh my
You
god.
don't. You don't. There and not even just that, but like again, PVE elements, putting markers, like the PVE waymarks and like that. Like what there's like no pathing system. Like you put a flag down and you have to click and opens a map. Like none of this is designed with like what you see in other PvP centric games, like
Yeah,
pings, like being able to ping something correctly and something appears on your screen like team, go here, I ping this spot. Like they don't even like have like that. That's stuff I'd like to see them reconsider and maybe introduce. So
I
what do you,
agree.
yeah, do you have any ideas on that? Do you agree with that, or do you have
Yeah,
anything more specific you'd like to see?
yeah, I definitely agree with like the pinging stuff and things like that. Um, did you know like in the Wolves and Pier, like it just gives like false information at this point? Like the NPCs, like there's
Oh,
NPCs where you can like talk to and get like basic info like on the game modes, and they don't update it. They actually forget to update it. So you can't even say like, okay, you can go in game and talk to these NPCs for info because they're wrong. So that's bad. um, I everyone has said this. There should be a novice network for PvP as well.
mm, that would
Just
be,
something
yeah.
something simple. It doesn't have to be like complicated. Just like explaining the modes and like what your actions do and the fact that your hotbar changes. Get to practice with the PvP specific hotbar. Yeah, that's what I would love to see as well to help people. For the map thing, Deep Dungeon has their little layout that gets locked, and that's PvP. There's
I
things
would,
that
it,
exist.
yeah. I honestly, I get people don't want too much cluttering up their screen, but I feel like everything they've ever given us UI wise, you can customize. You could remove it, change it. They even have things that have different versions, like the job bar things, like you can change them to simple or the advanced mode, or you can just make them disappear outright. So I'm kind of like I would like to see more like HUD UI elements added to I'm not so sure about like CC, but like for frontline, some things I would also like to see is like in like a specific example, Onsel. I know the little like triangle circles, pentagons in the sky, you can see them filling up. And that's kind of like a timer. But what happens when you get too close to those? You don't see those anymore. They're in the sky. So it's like they need to like bring it down to a level, no matter what your camera angle is. There needs to be a way near your objective to see, like, if they don't want to give you like the hard timer, if you don't, you can go into the map, but like there needs to be a way to communicate that more effectively, considering people's different viewpoints. Like I think that's not the best way. So like timers and visual appearances of the timers, I think need to be customizable and more easily seen. There needs to be an option to bring your health bar on above your character to the foreground permanently and locked, so it appears over anything else. So it's never. There's so many times in frontline your HP bar can be obscured, not your bottom one, but like the one above your character. If you do, like, I prefer that. Too many people are in front of me. I don't see my health bar anymore. I have to like look at my party list or down for a second. I'm like, that's too. Like, no, that's bad. I can't look away for that long. And like even like the tombstones in Steel Rock, stand in front of one of them. You can't see your HP bar anymore. It's like, why? Like, why can't I? Like, they like simple stuff.
I never
like,
thought about these stuff.
Well, it's like I play enough. It's like I see this. It's like this type of stuff, and like calling for like people who drop the waymarks, the commanders who drop waymarks below them, spamming DDD. There needs to be something where I plant a ping, and it like highlights a like an arrow or something like that. It's like we're going this way, not just like the ping, but like if you want a nice color thing, like make a pillar appear where I put the flag on the map. Like it like it illuminates, so everyone like, hey, we're going towards the red marker. I don't like, you don't have to open your map. Like just things that simplify it a little bit more.
Even something simple like a specific PvP waymark would work.
Yeah. Why can't I use any of the CC chat commands in frontline? Like LB ready. You can't even, like, you have to make a macro. You have to make a macro say like LB ready or count down to my, it's like, I get macros have their place, but like you already made tools for one other PvP mode and you can't even use them in another mode. It's like, let us use those tools. I obviously know people have their complaints about quick chat in CC and it's not great enough, but like you don't even, and I know you can chat, but sometimes you need to be quicker and more efficient with your communication. And like, they're not even giving you that option. And it's weird. It's a little weird to me, but I understand why it's an oversight because someone probably never asked for that or like spoke up about that. So just
definitely
simple stuff like that, I think would be really nice to have, and just maybe looking through it from lens. And I honestly think this might be where we're seeing like the resource issue. Like this is just like parsing through all this feedback and having the time to make all these changes, where PvP still needs all these other changes, like job balances need to keep happening. So I could see why these don't necessarily get caught or happen as much.
Yeah, I think so. And another big thing is still moderating. Like people still cheat in Crystal Conflict specifically.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. There's still like speed hackers who like just get away with it. Like on their main accounts, not even on
really? They're that brazen, huh?
Yeah, because like nothing happens unless they get mass reported or like it goes on to Twitter or something. Like nothing happens. What about Frontlines? You don't see it that often anymore.
Yeah, it's not really there. Honestly, it's more of a meme at this point. I'm guilty of doing it. Like it's like you see something like something unfortunate happens to you, and you're like, "Okay, you damn cheater." It's like, no, they were not. Like they were not cheating. It's just like either bad net code or you just fucked up. So it's like take ownership of your like mistakes and stuff. But like it's competitive in the moment. You're like, asshole. It's like, but whatever. It's very rare, I think, nowadays to see any of that like legit. But it's funny. There are a few notorious people in matches who will start like spewing out, "Oh, these people are botting and cheating," and like it's the PvP discords orchestrating all these like cheating and stuff.
Oh
and we're just like, we'll be in a live chat and be like, "What evidence do you have?" And they're like, they just do it. It's like they talk about it in their secret discords. It's like, okay. So they're definitely like, that's the problem though. Like I never considered it this way, but like even as not a lot of people watch my like personal stream, but it's like even if like one or two people see a streamer like even jokingly be like, this guy's like, you damn cheater, there's no way I'd die to you, whatever. It starts to like spread that kind of like toxic mentality, like, oh, it is happening, but also people just start passing the buck and saying like all time something goes wrong, that person was like cheating and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's not like a good thing to be like spreading, because one, it makes it harder to detect and catch real cheaters when there's so many
Yes,
false reports
100%.
going around. Yeah, so I do think like
100%.
maybe should reconsider like how often
Yeah.
like we even joke about that. But you're like I totally believe you. Like I've seen like clips of it. I saw one thing. I've never seen it used in Frontline, but like there's a thing that lets people see all on the map, lets you see all like people at all times. Like you can like it's like a spectator mode.
Oh.
In CC Custom, they found a way to access that, and they can just teleport to any person and see their viewpoint or whatever. So it's like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, well, good to know that functionality exists. So if we ever get Frontline Customs, we could have a
Oh
spectator,
yeah.
which would be awesome. Although that raises a whole other thing. Like you should only be able ever to unless you're neutral. You should only be able to like spectate like a team, like so you can't like if you're in comms, the whole other thing. Like if I'm on like the Maelstrom, I should never be able to like spectate adders or
Right.
yeah, flames, because I could know their position, unless it's something you could see on the map. That's cheating. So anyway, yeah, but someone was using that and was like explaining like, because they're like, oh, so like so and so was over here, like how the hell do you know that we literally just left the gate, and like and you're not in voice chat with them, like like no, and then like someone posted something I saw, I was like, yeah, you should probably not use that. That's kind of like shitty and stuff. And it's like you shouldn't be able to like
Yikes.
see where people are. Like there's been other like more like gray area ones, because we saw it like in the top race, like widescreen zoom
Oh
hack.
yeah.
People have used that in like Frontline to see like a wider viewpoint. Like so you can. That's one of the, like the things you like in either PvP or any of the PvP modes is like situational awareness. Your camera can't see all angles at once, so if you're tunnel visioning like on a mid fight in Onsol and a team sneaks around behind your ramp, you shouldn't be able to see that unless you like turned your camera and paid attention, open your map. If you're like you're zoomed super far out and you can see all that, like it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
It's not gray area to me. That's just like
yeah,
shit. I'm not fair.
yeah, like yeah. I'm with you. I say that to like not maybe piss off people, but like I
Oh
like unless you're
jeez.
using like a widescreen monitor, it's like don't like you shouldn't be able to like see that. That's like kind of like
Yeah.
crap.
Speaking of that stuff, so the reason why PvP can't do well, actually, what is it right now? No, wait, nothing could do free trial, right? Or PvP, right?
No, no
I mean,
one.
sorry.
Free trials can't do PvP. No,
Yeah, yeah, okay,
that's
yeah.
what you're asking.
So yeah, yeah. So we used to be able to, and then they
Yes,
removed it because of like they said it was cheating. Um, I wonder if we're gonna get an update to that because I think that's a big detriment to the game of PvP.
I do think that's something you have to reconsider. I think how much they've nerfed, like, because you have to win to get the it was because it's primarily because like what botters were using it to just level up their characters to PvP. When they added Stormblood, when they added the PvE reward, PvE experience for finishing, then they
Mm-hmm.
adjusted that the winner got the most, and like second and third got a reduced amount, so it incentivized you to win. I think it's about time like they
Yeah,
reintroduced
it's been a
that.
long time.
Yeah.
It's been years.
Yeah. I would say like maybe the restriction is you can't join like a light party or something. So like they can't, like, maybe bots can't like team up together or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they already can. They can join
Oh yeah.
parties.
Oh yeah, that's right, right? They can't join parties, or I'm
Oh,
actually
I
not I'm
forget.
not as familiar with free trial and like that stuff. Like I've never really been able to mess with that. I just know they can't do PvP, but they should be able, if you're gonna like we're getting into Stormblood with the trial, it's like let them try PvP out. Even if it's like
Yeah.
maybe it's just like one mode and not all modes, like give them something. Like give them access to something at least so they can try it out. It's a little
Yeah.
weird. Also, free trials can't do ultimates. I know that because all the content creators were excited about the first week of free trial. Like Stormblood, all right, we're gonna do free trial ultimate clears and be like the world first like free trial, and then they're like no ultimates for free trial players. And like, oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Because I get that question a lot because I am a regular Final Fantasy 14 consecrator and I pitch the free trial to people all the time, but they see me doing PvP and I tell them like, okay, you can't do what I'm doing, unfortunately, but you can do almost everything else.
Yeah,
And that's really sucky because there are people in this gaming community who like PvP and like competitive content. And I don't think they should be neglected because of, you know, whatever happened in the past and why they restricted it.
yeah. Let me ask you this: is it kind of like, I think I don't have too much more to talk about here. I could go on forever, but like you're talking about like new players, and you mentioned
Yeah.
something a little bit earlier. Um, do you think 14's PvP needs a better like onboarding process, like with maybe like like a better tutorial system or something to like kind of like introduce people to PvP? Should there be like, I know they even mentioned like something about like bot matches or whatever, and they don't want to like do something like
Yeah.
that, but do you think there's something they could do to help newer players get into PvP and
Yeah,
introduce to it?
so the Hall of Novice concept already exists in the game. I think they could just like make a PvP version of that. I know when we enter the Wolves and Pier, like when your first time ever, like they bring you the welcome to the Wolves Den, this is the hub, and then you could click on it and then it takes you to the official website, and then it's like the load stun with like the frontline information and stuff like that. There's just not enough in game because not enough people are just gonna click that. Most people are just gonna like close that and like leave and not know anything. So just have things in game, like a little quest, a little something. At least messing with the hot bar and like fighting dummies would be like minimal, I think.
Yeah. I feel like just the basics, like guard. Here's guard. This is what do.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
works.
yeah,
Here's
yeah, yeah.
purify. Here's your pots, recuperate, and here is your elixir, and here's sprint. It's like, especially sprint. It's like you turn it on and off. It's like, it's not like, it doesn't work like PVE. Like you know, it works differently in PvP. Just something like that. Like as you said, like in a novice hall of the novice setting where it's like you just have one thing where you just have to prove you can do those and understand what they
Uh-huh,
do.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
100%. Like they'll make your HP to one and like, okay, you need to do this button to get up, and then that's it. Complete.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you've been stunned. Hit purify. Like,
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
Oh, and then they turn stun you again. Look, not only do you get away, you are immune to being stunned again for a few seconds. And get ready to
One
complain about it.
instance with all of that, and then it's good.
Yeah. I even like thought like maybe, you know, I understand they said like no bots, but like I thought they were like in the context it sounded like custom matches or like just being able to jump into any match like where there's not enough players and it fills with bots. The thing I wanted to see is like it'd be interesting to see if like they ran people through one of each mode's matches with like AI basically. So like
Mm.
before you can jump into solo queue, ranked or casual crystalline conflict, you will do a quick like match with like bots. And like it's a tutorial mode. It's like, all right, welcome to like CC. Push the crystal. Like here, you step on the crystal, it goes this way. They step on it. You're both on it. It doesn't move. It's at the 50. It like literally just skips ahead. It's not even like a full 5 minute match. It just runs you through the basics really quick, just shows you how it works. And it's like, all right, you're now ready. Go into a real match and do that. I understand
Yeah.
it'd be more complicated with maybe like frontline or even like rival wings. I don't even know how you do rival wings without like making the person cry about like with all the stuff.
Yeah, that's a little much.
But
But
but I think like CC could maybe use something like that where it's just
it's
like a basics.
it's doable because like when we do MSQ, they reuse like certain parts of maps and stuff and instances.
Hmm.
Like you could enter like secure when you do like summoner summoner job quests. You right on top of the PvP area.
Oh
It's
yeah,
secure.
I mean it was one of the end like the Shadowbringers final quest. The lunar primals, you fought them in
Oh
the
yeah.
borderland. I was like, "Yo, we going mid to fight some primals right now?" What's up? I
Yeah,
was
that
about to
was
switch to
cool.
monk. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go off one of these primals off the edge right here." No, I'm kidding. But yes, they can definitely reuse those maps and do something like that. I understand you don't want to be too overbearing. You don't want people to feel like, "Good God, it's like a 20-minute tutorial. I just want to play the damn thing, or whatever." Like
Right.
obviously like you know it should never be longer than like the match itself, so like CC is 5 minutes, like keep that explanation to 5 minutes or less and like get them into you know their first match quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't need to know like how every job plays. It doesn't need to go that far. Just like the universal stuff.
Last thing I have like before we like wrap up here, are there any like you know things you want to see with like a job specific, like a job you like that you want to see changed, or you know like
Hmm.
anything we haven't like talked about? I know we kind of like alluded to like, will they do anything crazy with like jobs, you know, like the job like 7.1 or anything like we really didn't talk about that you really wanted to talk about?
Let me think here. I honestly like how most jobs play. I feel like they have the identity that they were going for. I know some people still don't like the fact that ninja and samurai can insta kill. Um, okay, I guess for ninja, I kind of agree. It is still pretty snowbally that the fact that it can insta kill and in like light party situations, you just go back to back to back to back to back, and there's like really nothing you can do about it. Um, but I don't know what I want to see. But I do think ninja should be the job that's looked at the most
Hmm.
upcoming. Um, I think samurai, you can shield, like you said earlier, against the limit break. So there's something to that one, but ninja, there's nothing. So I would like to see
Yeah,
ninja change. The new jobs, I hope the new jobs are just like well designed to have an identity. I don't wish to see Viper playing like Reaper. I hope that they figure out something really cool for it.
cool.
'Cause that's what I'm excited the most for when it
Yeah.
comes to the expansion. I want to play those new jobs and everything PvP, and I hope they're good.
Yeah, caster. I'm excited for another casting job in
Yeah.
PvP, and melee jobs are always like fun. It's so funny. There's the most melee, and sometimes I'm actually like, God, I wish there was another melee. There's not enough. Like, I mean, you play too much. Eventually, you're like, yeah, there are not enough jobs. We need more. So I, can see the other side of the coin. People are like, there are too many jobs. What the heck? Um, yeah, the only things I wanted to like say before we wrap up here is you know, I've obviously talked a lot about like different fixes I wish we could see coming. Obviously, I hope like the new maps are great. I do want to talk about this real quick.
Okay.
If we get secure back, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the Copium and me wants golf to return, but like I think they might change the map in a way that it's just not possible because we saw what they
It
did with
feels like that.
Shatter.
Yeah, they did
Shatter is
with Shatter.
incredibly difficult to do that on there. I mean,
Mhm.
it's still possible, but like it's not like the it's not the full HP setup. It's like one and done. They're dead no matter what, no matter how much damage they take. You have to do a little bit work on them. Um, I kind of like am. I wish that's why I wish they could give us back old secure. Like when I was talking about give us back like the old stuff. Like to me, golf had two things. One, people were overusing it to target specific people for griefing. You guys ruined it for all of us. Like that was like you're like our a-holes who like that's like no, that wasn't nice. Like that got people to complain.
Right.
What it was great for all the people who like get frustrated with pre-mades, that was a great equalizer. You could troll the shit out of like a pre-made and send up like a group of 4 monks and like, all right, we have no battle high. It doesn't matter. Like, come on up. Let's see how you're gonna deal with this. Like, it was a fun little like game of cat and mouse too. Like, and nothing was ever like guaranteed. I mean, there
Right.
are ways to like bait out. Like, it was a fun mind game to
So fun.
play. And some of like the ramp duels against other monks and like warriors stuff like they were like the most fun
So
I've ever
fun.
had. It's like
Yes.
I kind of want that back. I was like, can we at least get it back? And like maybe like
Yeah.
golf kills don't count for points or something. Like fall deaths don't count towards
No.
points.
It needs to count for kill.
Whatever it takes to like bring it back. It's like, can we get at least a form of it back? And like, yeah,
Yeah.
just explicitly state using it to like defeat a person like for the purpose of like getting like to stop a team or that, but like repeatedly targeting a single person is like against the rules or something. Like
Yeah, yeah,
just make it
yeah.
like there
It is
is
against
a
the rules.
yeah. Well, just reiterate it to like stop targeting like, a person or whatever.
Oh
Or make
yeah.
it like harder to do. Like maybe it's not as like free, like I don't know, like make it that like it's still possible, but
We have
it's gonna
Fed
take
Award
more
now.
skill. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now with that, like, good luck. Like monk, you can't just not like stun knockback. Like,
Yeah, we
actually,
have Fed
yes, I
Award
didn't.
now.
I forgot about this. Like, everyone has like, bring it back. We get to see
It's
the
free
real.
now.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
can just run pop your
ooh,
Fed Award,
ooh. I
jump up,
mean,
and you're
I
good.
mean, monk's still gonna be an asshole though to deal with because you just open
Yeah.
with your LB and waste that time of their resilience and then stun them out of it and knock them off. It's like, all right,
Okay.
but if you
I'm
have to spend,
someone.
go ahead.
Yeah, I said I'm someone who got like literal stream sniped and like golfed a million times, and I still like golfing and want it to come back because it's just like it's a
Yeah.
strategic thing that you can do in the game.
Exactly. And honestly, looking back on it now, I don't think the griefing happened very much at all. Honestly, I think it ended up being more like what people complain about Dark Knight now. It's like, oh no, everyone like easy mode Dark Knight, destroy, nerf Dark Knight, salted Earth, and wham, the front line's broken right now because of that. It's like, it's kind of like, to me, it's like the same mentality. It's a lack of understanding of like, there is sort of a way to deal it. I will be frank. It was a little bit unfair in its older state, the pre-new resilience, the purify change. Some jobs were just like kind of screwed in trying to deal with like golf and ramp. Whereas pre 6.1, we had a lot of jobs had way more options to deal with it, which was kind of fun. Like pre 6.1 golfing was the best because like more jobs had counters to it and it wasn't as free as it was. Obviously, tanks and warriors had like a little bit of like the upper hand, but in general, you had so many ways. I don't know how many people knew old Recuperate actually cleansed home gang. So it wasn't, home gang wasn't free back then on physical range. I was like, you want to waste that home game? Go ahead. I can cleanse your home gang. See ya. But anyway,
thing, wait. Before we say, there's also thing about secure map where like going mid is not like the end game only. Anyways, you could like get outposts, kill people, like. It was always a way to win without like
and like death ball. Like you could have, like if you really want to, you gotta get your whole team with battle high. Just like wait for the team to come down a ramp. It's like you gotta stay up there. You're not gonna win off just those points. If we don't go up there, you don't get kills off us. And it's like you're gonna have to come down here at some point to try and win the game. It's like we're just gonna roll you with like a death ball. So it's like no one ever fought for like the neutral. Like these are the problems. Like no one ever fought for like the neutral bases. Like it would be like the back and even in JP it was like tug of war style. It's like, all right, we're staying here, but like the third team never came up to like make it a 3-way challenge. Like it wasn't properly challenged. It was always like a 2-way. I think that's one of the things they're probably going to adjust so it can have like more of that. But also like, man, I like you talking about this. It made me miss. I was saying in like one of the discords, Warrior pre 6.1 used to go up mid time, bring your weapon throw and bring your knockback ability when you go, so you could golf. Get back down, switch to like Rampart and Reprisal. It's like defensive time. We're gonna go like Death Ball and like being like the loss of additionals like is a thing I lament because like they're changing it. You could change them out in match out of combat. You didn't even have to go back to return. You could just do it when you're out of combat, and that was one of the like actual points where like you could swap. It was to your benefit to swap those out on like tank, and I was like,
Oh, I was nasty. I just had full swing and weapon throw.
Full swing was it? Yeah, thank you. Full swing. But yeah, I hope like they can bring, even if they don't bring back golf, I hope it's not Shatter 2.0 again.
Please.
With it, I'll take Seal Rock or Onsel. I hope they take a look at Seal Rock North Spawn and reevaluate the node placement for those, the tombstone placement, because there's too much of the bully the North team and Seal Rock. It's like getting at it, like it's out of hand. They're at a disadvantage with their spawns and stuff. Like it's like the most disadvantageous like spawn. I think they need to relook at like the node spawn logic in mid to late game. I think win condition node should never spawn by first place ever near the end of a game. I think you should. Like
it's true.
Well, but make it logic so it's logic. You understand it's fair. It's like only the neutral contested points will ever spawn after a certain point or threshold.
Ooh,
so like in Onsol, it's either mid, like like the ones that are furthest away from anyone's base, like a handful of those, or in Seal Rock, the ones that are furthest away are the only ones that'll ever spawn. So it forces people into PvPing at the end instead of like, we're just gonna like turtle up here and guard and like, secure or victory. I know people are saying, well, that diminishes like the rest of the match, and it's like, nah, I'm here for like fighting. Like I personally like if you can still fight. If you're good at fighting, you're still gonna win at this point.
Yes.
So stuff like that I'd like them to consider for frontline. A big change I think they can do, and it wouldn't impact CC, is reduce all AoE abilities. Consider making all AoE abilities only affect 5 targets at max, so that it maintains the CC balance and nerfs a lot of the AoE meta in frontline. Obviously, it should be balanced about like AoE, but the problem is it's too powerful right now. Like things aren't scaled correctly to account for that. So I do think like the sync burst should be nerfed a little bit, and you're still going to hit a bunch of people with that. Like overlapping, you're going to hit more than 5 people between your whole team unleashing your AoEs. But I do think there should maybe be considered a cap of how many targets, because it already exists in PvE. You have that diminishing.
It used to exist in PvP too.
Oh yeah,
it used to be like like certain amount of hits does 50%, and a certain amount of hits does 30%, and then
Yep.
10%, and then nothing.
I
So
think
they removed it.
yeah, I think it needs to come back. Seriously, consider that coming back, because I think that would definitely help out. Help out a lot. And yeah, hopefully those new maps are cool. Bring Astragalus back. Bring a maybe what was the crazy idea? Did I tell you the crazy idea about Rival Wings? I know it's themed after mechs, but could they let us use the primals?
Oh yeah,
No.
you did say this.
Yeah, so
not
like
today, but you've
yeah,
just said
so
it
like
before.
Brute Justice becomes like Titan. So you got Landslide, which is like Mega Beam. Like
Yes.
like Garuda is just Cruise Chaser, and like Ifrit is just like maybe Ifrit's like Cruise Chaser, and I don't know, whatever they can figure it out. But like they don't even have to be like analogous to the same. But like that'd be kind of like a fun thing to mess around with, because remember they promised back in the day that grand companies were going to get away, or free companies, someone was getting away to spawn primals or summon primals for a mechanic.
Ooh.
I know Nova Crystallis, you're in chat. Do you remember what this was specifically? Which it was for? Because I always misremember. But there was supposed to be some mechanic for this. Maybe you can honor it and make it live on in Rival Wings.
Oh
But
my god.
but yeah, I'm excited for like new maps. In both Frontline and Rival Wings, and I'm hope you guys get some good maps in CC and reward changes, because I really just want to see them keep this active.
Yeah.
Customs, you said it already. Custom match options for Frontline and Rival Wings are my other biggest ask.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
just allow us to have that and let us mess with that.
They have to know at this point like how much pre-made or Q syncs we do, because like it's not only NA and EU that does Q syncs.
Oh,
JD
yeah.
players do hella Q syncs, so
Yep.
they know like it exists that we want to play like big high tier frontline matches, and they could do something about that.
Yeah, I really hope they strongly consider giving us that. And last thing is probably like, can we get like an all blue mage mode for PvP, each PvP thing, just to screw around with? Like, I mean, you could cute like. I know, like this would be like they need to allow them into like deep dungeon, like just allow blue mage into stuff, like it's and beast, because we're getting Beastmaster as well. So it's like, can we start considering maybe allowing them into their own special version? So it's like you can queue into CC as blue mage or Beastmaster, but you get other blue mage and Beastmasters only. You're not getting mixed with other things.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
that would be kind
It
of
feels
fun.
like Blue Mage especially is such an easy job that they could just like design a kit for, because they have so many options between the way it plays. It has that variety of like it can do self-sustain damage and heal at the same time. So like just, and they teased it before. Blue Mage Battle Royale was like
Yes.
the teaser thing
Whew.
before Crystal Conflict.
Wish that would become a reality. Like just a new PvP mode would be awesome, but like feels like the biggest pipe dream nest, like for a whole brand new PvP mode. Like maps are already like a tall ask, and they're finally giving us some. But yeah, some kind of like, you know what, Brian? Screw it. This is so easy to handle. Customs. Give me an option for frontline customs like Battle Royale. It's like 70 people are dropped in, and after 30 seconds, your immunity wears off. Everyone just go after each other. Last person standing wins. Like,
let's go.
Can't they just do that? Like, what? There has to be an option, right? I mean, maybe not, but like maybe it's harder than that. But I don't know. Like maybe they could repurpose something like that and make it work. But yeah, I'd love to like see something like that happen. Well, that's all I got for you, Brian. Did you have anything else? Again, was anything else we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about PvP related that you want to get off your chest or anything, or you think you're good?
Not I can think of. I just want more people to queue up. So if you're hearing this and you have not played PvP, give it a try. Try it with like casual queue or some front lines. There's no stress into it. Those modes don't have any ranking. You can try to find friends to play with and have a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
And for all our listeners and viewers, could you let them know where they can follow you if they want to check out more of your stuff?
Yeah, so my Twitch, I'm a Twitch partner at twitch.tv/Brian Ricardo. I do a lot of Final Fantasy 14 PvP, but we do a variety of games there. Twitter, I'm at Brian Ricardos with an S at the end. I mostly just talk about streaming stuff or like stuff about my family and like my cats and stuff like that. And Instagram as well. I'm at Brian Ricardo's as well. Yep.
Awesome. This is really fun. I feel like I forgot a million things to talk about, but we're at 2 hours here, and I was like, this could be like an hour, 90 minutes. Like, wow. Like I like this came up with like Tiffany Lockhart last week. I was like, we dabbled a little bit into PvP. I was like, we should stop before this becomes a whole PvP episode. I was like, I was like, I don't want to do that so soon. And like, I don't know. This was just like, to me, a blessing in disguise that we got these PvP changes, because otherwise, like, I had no plans to do a PvP episode for a while until we got like significant stuff. But it's like, I'm not passing this up, which is funny because everyone's like, you're just gonna do 14 again or something for your show, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do a lot of other stuff. It's like 2 weeks in a row, 14. So I was like, damn it! I was like, there will not be 14 stuff next week. It will absolutely be something else.
Yeah, I definitely gotta try these chains. I'm definitely gonna like stream it today. So
yeah, try out. Just do one match of Shatter and see. Like, you'll immediately tell the difference between it and like any of the other modes. You'll just be like, wow, this is definitely way different. But yeah, I'll say, like, good concepts. I think they just got to keep tweaking it. I wish they could just be faster on the updates for non-CC related PvP. And also, as I said earlier, give us some insight into why you're making these changes, like you do for the job balance changes, like would be
I agree with that.
biggest ask.
100%.
But yeah, thank you, Brian, for joining me. Thank you, everyone in chat, for interacting with us and checking us out. And we will be back next week with a new episode. I'm still trying to lock down the guests for that. I will let you know as soon as possible. But as always, it'll be on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. So until next time, everyone, see you later and try PvP.